my friends. Happy Friday. Welcome to episode 214 of Why Did I Buy This? This series is for those of you who want to learn how to make the most of your craft collections. And this is a great series for those of you who are wondering what you need to be successful with crafting. My name is Lindsay. I'm from Canada, and I have been an independent Canadian Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for 22 years. I love crafting and I love sharing ideas with you. As you're tuning in, please say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If you're watching the replay, you can let us know that too. Thank you for your patience. I was away last week on holidays. I had a really, really great trip, and so it's good to be back in my studio. I just got home last night, so I've been kind of working through many things, so I'm just getting back into the swing of things. But yeah, how have you all been? I am excited to celebrate the graduation of my oldest daughter on Monday. She graduated from university, and she was selected to be a representative for her program major. It was like a article that they wrote about her. So that was really fun for me to get to see her university journey in print. But yeah, so lots of things going on this weekend. But first of all, I wanted to work through some things with you. Now, Stampin' Up! Has a buy one, get one 50% off suites promotion right now. So a suite is the big coordinating product suite. There's names to them, usually like boho vibes, and there are many things within that suite. So the way the sale works is you can either apply the discount to a whole suite, or you can apply the discount to items within the suite. So it could be a bundle, it could be a set of embellishments, it could be a designer series paper. The key is when you put things into your cart, the system is automatically going to take it off the lowest priced item. So if you wanted 2 suites, for example, you would put that in your cart and it would take it off that. But if you added a set of embellishments to it, it's going to move it to the embellishments. So if you want it off the suites, you're going to want to put that in your cart independently. So here's an example. You don't have to purchase the whole suite to make this work. You could have 2 items like this. So this is from the Boho Vibes collection. You could have the designer series paper and the embellishments, and you would get the embellishments for 50% off because that's the lower priced item. Make sense? If you have questions, you can let me know. Okay, so speaking of this suite promotion, I wanted to work with a suite today that I think you're really going to love. And so today's projects are going to work through that, and we're going to be practicing some coloring techniques. Now, do you love to color? Let me know in the comments if you like to color. Some people love it, some people hate it. I really love to color. I love to watercolor. I love Stampin' Blends, which are the alcohol markers, and I love watercolor pencils. I'm going to be combining some techniques today because there's some really fun things you can do when you sort of layer your coloring. So yeah, hopefully that's a hook for you to watch through. Now is a good time to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is the best place to be able to get ideas and be able to be inspired and find out what's new. Okay, I'm going to do the awkward transition so you can see my hands, and then we're going to get started. Okay, I'm going to just clip you in like that. Lovely. Okay, there we go. So a couple of things to pay attention to. Like I mentioned, we have our buy one, get one 50% off promotion. We have the Why Did I Buy This Maker Club. So if you love the Why Did I Buy This collection and you'd like to have a VIP experience with that, you'll get curated maker boxes each month that have products in it so that you can be able to try out some of the techniques that we're showcasing. So you'll want to sign up for that for July. And then finally, we have the Creative Stamping Collective. I have a tutorial. You can purchase it for $18, or you can get it for free with a $60 order. And that you'll find on my website, cloud9stampers.com. All of this information that I've just talked about is there for you to be able to learn more. Okay, so let's get started. The suite that I wanted to show you is called the, I think it's called Gallery Blooms. Or it might be something with the gallery part of it in it, and the name is different. I should have looked it up. You guys know I'm terrible with the names. here's the stamp set. Here's the coordinating dies. So this is a bundle. And then within that same suite, you can get the designer series paper. It's very beautiful paper. So you can see there's all of these artwork that looks like paintings. And when you flip it over, you get more of the motif side of things. There is also the beautiful basic beige classic ribbon in that. I love the texture in this ribbon. It's really great to work with. And you'll also find the pressed flower motif embellishments. These are really nice and heavy and hardy, and add a fun bronze look to your cards. So let's work with some coloring here. I'm going to bring in from the Gallery Bloom stamp set, the Peony stamp, and I'm going to use my Memento ink because we're going to work with some blends. But remember, I'm going to teach you a technique to do some layering. So I'm going to ink up my stamp, and you'll notice I just flip it over when I want to get full coverage of that stamp. It's sort of the easiest way to ink it up. And then we're going to stamp this, and I'm kind of stamping it off the page because we're stamping it on a smaller piece of paper. And so now I'm going to bring in some colors. I've got Bubble Bath in both light and dark. I have Old Olive in light and dark, and I have Lemon Lolly. So we're going to start with the leaves, and I'm going to add in some darker color where you would think the shadow might fall on those leaves. So kind of where the flower is and where the leaf kind of twists, you want maybe a darker color there. And then we're going to come in with the lighter Old Olive, and we'll just color that all the way. That helps to blend out that line so you don't get that obvious two tones. They kind of blend together, hence the name of the markers. Okay, so we've got our green, step one of the technique. And then we're going to do the yellow next. So I'm going to bring in some of the dark Lemon Lolly and then finish it off with the light. Like so. And then we have Bubble Bath. It's a very pretty pink. And I'm just going to do some dark where the lines show us that there's some shading. And then along here. And then we're going to come back in with the light and blend that out. Okay, so over here, such a pretty stamp. Fun for coloring. We're going to go ahead and color that out like so. Okay. So that is step one. Now you could leave it like that and that's perfectly acceptable, but I wanted to go a step further. So I brought in my watercolor pencils, and with my watercolor pencils, we're going to add new colors to it to add a shading effect. So I've got here Garden Green, and I'm gonna go ahead and add some coloring to my leaf and just add in that extra color. It makes it look so realistic and beautiful. I love that. Okay. So these are these are watercolor pencils by Stampin' Up, and they come in the colors, but I'm going with a totally different color here, right? You can see that I'm going with Garden Green instead of Old Olive. Okay. So we're just going to color that in. So look at already, you can see it's adding that depth and texture. And now I'm going to use Fleur de Flamingo on my flower. And again, where those lines are that show us we've got some shading, I'm going to color that Fleur de Flamingo in. And it's just going to give us more layers, more color, more depth. And I just think it makes it extra beautiful. This is step 2 of 3, FYI. Okay, and over here, same thing. So kind of behind, you think it might be a little bit darker. So you can see how that coloring is coming together. You can even bring in something like red to sort of go in and add just a little bit more depth to it. Okay. That one we're not adding quite as much to it. And then with the orange, we're just going to add a little bit into the center of the flower. Like that, okay? So you can see this is step 2 of 3. So now we're going to bring in another tool, and this is called a blender pen. This is one of the very first tools I ever bought from Stampin' Up. They are clear until you color in a pigment. So I'm just going to color out. You can see that marker tip is just clear, and when you go over top of the watercolor pencil, it gives you the control of a marker, but it gives you the look of watercoloring, which is pretty phenomenal. So we'll just go in here and kind of finish it off. I'll just scribble out the excess. Same with over here. We're going to go over the orange part of it. It just takes away any of the pencil crayon look and really helps to add to that extra shading. And then over here, like that. Okay, so look at how beautiful that looks. And then here we're going to go ahead and finish coloring the leaves. Just smoothing out that watercolor pencil. Look at that. What do you think? Do you like it? Yeah, very fun. Okay, so to finish off this project, we're going to bring in some designer series paper. And this is from that same suite. And now we're going to layer this in just like that, okay? And we'll add in some ribbon. So I want to tie a bow. And I'm bringing in my little bow tire here. So this is something that you could work with at home if you have a meat fork. Anything that has 2 tines like this is going to work. You're going to put the ribbon on the opposite side of the tines. You're going to cross over the ribbon. The ribbon that's on the bottom will go through the pegs at the top, and the other one goes through the pegs at the bottom. You pull it tight and tie a knot, and it creates this beautiful bow that you can add to the project. Now I'll just skip ahead and show you what it looks like when I've put it all together. But here you can see is the bow, and there is the embellishments. I've added in a greeting from the More Messages, which is a must-have from our newest collection. This is one stamp that you stamp the whole thing, and then you run it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and it cuts out all of the different greetings at the same time. And here you can see it's just a handful of them. There's so much more, but so then you have all these different greetings that you can choose from. And so you can see thanks a lot, or you could do I adore you, or you can do anything. So lots of very fun ways to put a greeting onto that card. So that's project number 1. We're going to move on now to project number 2. This is a really nice, simple way to add coloring to a project. I'm bringing in a piece of designer series paper, and did you know you can color your designer series paper? You don't have to leave it the color that it comes. So I'm bringing in the coordinating Calypso Coral ink pad. This is one of the colors that is in this suite, and I'm going to pick up the ink and then just take off some of the excess and just pull that on. And we're going to be able to see the designer texture in the background, but we're going to be adding in some of the Calypso color. Okay. Like so. So that creates that beautiful background. So now I'm going to use the, it's more of like a stem stamp. So I'm going to ink that up in my Memento, and I'm going to stamp that off of that piece of paper to create that silhouette. And we'll stamp up high, and then we'll do one kind of off to the side. Okay. And then we're going to bring in some more Designer Series paper and layer that behind. And you can add in a greeting and your embellishments. And I'll skip ahead and show you how quick and simple this card is. Now, what I wanted to point out here is I've added some extra texture to the background of this. So once we've completed the blending and the stamping, you're going to run it through with the embossing folder. And this is an embossing folder that's also included in the suite. And then you're going to get that beautiful, it's almost a Baroque texture in the background, and it's so pretty. I just love that, adding that extra detail to it. And there you can see are those beautiful embellishments. So another simple way to add color to your projects. Now the third way, I think this is so much fun. I hope you love it too. So what we're going to do is bring in a piece of cloud cover. This is one of our new in colors. And I'm going to bring back in the peony stamp. And using the Early Espresso dark brown, we're going to ink up this peony, and we're going to stamp it onto the cloud cover cardstock. Now, I wanted to show you a really simple way to color that you don't need a lot of extra materials for. So let me just go ahead and pretend that we've die cut this one out. And I'm going to bring in an ink refill. So the cloud cover ink refill and Old Olive. Now, one thing to note about the cloud cover classic ink is that Stampin' Up! Has decided not to release the classic ink pad. It was having a chemical reaction between the foam in the ink pad and the ink itself. And so the color was shifting, so it wasn't the color that we wanted to see. Stampin' Up! Is very specific about color coordination. And so this just wasn't coordinating the way that they wanted. So we do have the ink refill. So if you wanted to be able to make a stamp pad, you could use our uninked Stampin' Spots and create one, because those are made from felt. They're not foam, they're felt ink pads. But what I wanted to show you is how you can easily create the ability to color. So I'm just bringing in a baby wipe, and I'm folding it so that I have a little bit more control. And just on one corner, I'm going to add a couple of drops of ink refill, just like that. And I'm going to use my finger as kind of the tool. So I'm just going to pull a little bit off so it's not so concentrated. And then over the peonies, I'm going to add the blue. So the cloud cover. So this is the cloud cover cardstock, and we're putting cloud cover ink over top of it. So now I'm going to move my my baby wipe, and I'm going to add some Old Olive to the corner of this side. Same thing, we're going to just bring in that wipe, and now I'm going to use my finger to sort of add the color to the leaves. And it's okay if it's out of the lines. We're not worried about that. It's just more about having a stylized way to color. So there you can see is what it looks like. And it's going to dry. It's going to become a little bit more subtle. But let's show you how to put this together. This is a nice PYB card. So I'm going to use that embossing folder to emboss the basic beige cardstock. This is cut at 2 inches by 4 1/4. And then I'm going to bring in a basic beige card front. And I'm also bringing in the metallic textured rub-ons, which I featured a couple weeks ago. And I have this really beautiful, these labels. Gosh, my brain today, I can tell I'm tired. Whew, coming out of holidays is just more than anybody can do. I need a holiday for my holiday. How many times have you thought that? Okay, so here's the bits and pieces to assemble this card. So we're going to take the scissors and we're going to cut out the metallic rub-ons that we're going to use. And we're going to peel that back. And then just on the edge of this card here, we're going to stick that down. You can use your fingers or a bone folder. I like to use the edge of my bone folder just so that we don't accidentally tear the rub-ons, but they're pretty hardy, I've found so far. And now we're going to peel that back and it reveals that amazing detail. I love that. Okay, so now we're going to add in our embossed paper. Holy, embossed paper. And we're going to throw on some Stampin' Dimensionals. Okay. And peel the backings off and we can layer that on here. Just like that. Now we have this frame from the labels and we have our colored peony. We're going to just use that to stick that down, but I'm going to bring in some mini glue dots and just hold a couple corners down, and I'll show you how we're going to fix it in just a minute. So this is going to have one right here, and we're just going to stick that like so, and then we can do one right here. Oh, it stuck to my finger real good. Okay, there we go. And then when you flip it over, you can use the dimensional to hold it all in place. So we're going to add a few to the back. So you can see I'm going right over top of that frame. Just like that. Okay. This one looks like it's sticking out a little bit, so let's use our scissors and trim that off. Okay, and then we'll peel off the backings and we will throw this onto the project. So kind of like that. Now I'm going to bring in the embellishments, and with my Take Your Pick tool, I'm going to add a few embellishments onto the card. So we'll throw a couple down here, and we'll do one kind of up here. And then we're going to bring in that ribbon again. That's from that same collection. And this time we're going to make a double bow. So I'm going to take enough that we can wrap it around twice and then trim the ribbon. And so it's the exact same process. You're just holding two ribbons this time. So on the opposite side of the pegs, you'll put the ribbon, you'll switch hands. The one that's on the bottom goes through at the top. The one that's left over is going to go through at the bottom. And you're going to give it a little tug and tie it. And then when you pull it off, you've got this loop at the bottom, but you're going to trim off the ends anyway to make it tidy. And then we're going to throw that down here. So you can bring in your glue dots and we can add that on just like that. Okay. So you're going to add a greeting again. You can pick something from your more messages, and let me bring in the final finished card and you can see how beautiful that is. So this is what it looks like when it dries. It just has a subtle look to it, and it's just a really easy way to color that you don't have to be exact. So you can get fussy with coloring, or you can be really, really simple. Here's another card that I made using that exact same technique with the flowers being colored that same way, but I embossed in black first of all, and that just gave some shine to it. So here you can see the projects one more time. We have coloring with a baby wipe. We have coloring the background with your blending brush. And we have coloring with Stampin' Blends and your watercolor pencils. And if you're thinking to yourself, Lindsay, why don't I have these products? You need to head to my online store and shop away. Of course, our buy one, get one 50% off sweet sale ends on June 30th. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, you'll need to do that before the end of the month. And any orders that are $60 or greater are going to receive the YouTube tutorial from the Creative Stamping Collective. It includes 12 different tutorials from 12 different very talented demonstrators, and you'll get to have that for free. Or if you'd like to purchase that tutorial, you can purchase that being from anywhere in the world, and it's $18 Canadian. You can find it all on my website at cloud9stampers.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you liked this video. If you want more information or more incredible creative stamping ideas, go into my YouTube channel here and you can find many, many things to inspire you. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye for now.